Hi, today I want to talk to you about Marilyn Monroe's case because her case has been studied by many behavioral experts. I am one of them. I'm mostly working in neuropsychology, manifestation, and nervous system recalibrating. So, to say you want to say quantum healing, I'm a psychotherapist and a pharmacist. My name is Tony, and I want to talk to you today about Marilyn Monroe's life because in her life you can see very, very precisely these types of dynamics. What do I mean by that? Marilyn Monroe's one of her biggest wounds was the fact that she thought that being wanted is the same thing as being loved. And when we confuse the two, we never have the chance for our nervous system to actually heal from the desire of being wanted to get to a place where we can actually be loved for ourselves and who we are permanently, and I will be getting into this right now. So this whole belief system of being wanted equals the more someone wants us, the more they love us. This is a very, very dangerous belief, and mostly it can form in people like Marilyn, who had disorganized attachment style, meaning an anxious and an avoidant attachment combined. It's very important to understand this. Marilyn died not knowing that she was loved or never understanding what real love is, even though everybody can agree that she was at her time one of the most desired women on earth. So this goes out for all the women or maybe all the men who want to look pretty and good and handsome and so on, that even though you can be the most desired person in the whole universe and still you can die feeling like you were never loved. So we all know that her real name was Norma Jean Mortensen, and what was the really hard part of her life was that at the moment of her conception, because now with trauma, at least that's how I work, I go back until the moment of conception and birth and so on, and the little childhood where we have the implicit memory, the one that we don't remember. That's where I work with my clients. And practically Norma Jane, so Marilyn, her conception was, the whole circumstances was that her father never acknowledged her. Her mother Gladys worked with her father together, so they clearly had sex, and that's how she was conceived, but her father never acknowledged her mother. So this was the first problem where she was not acknowledged and she was not permanently chosen by her father. And her mother and the child, since they are only one person, when her mother acknowledged that I am not chosen, Marilyn was equally not chosen, and she thought not her, but her nervous system in an epigenetic way can understand that, okay, I can only exist because this is the circumstance of my existence, and the circumstance of her existence was that she was not chosen by her father. Guess what kind of man did she choose after? Where she redid the whole scenario that her mother redid with her father. When she was 7, her mother was institutionalized, which was another big wound for her because she went from orphanages to orphanages and foster homes, and she understood the same thing. I am not chosen, again and again and again, not chosen permanently. So she didn't really get, if we look at her attachment style, she didn't get the caregiver's constant stable attention. Sometimes she got attention, sometimes she didn't. Sometimes she could stay in the same house, sometimes she didn't. This activated in her a disorganized attachment style, and being wanted temporarily is not the same thing as being loved and having a safe system. So this being wanted temporarily but not being kept by someone is a pattern that her nervous system took a picture of and said, okay, this is a pattern I recognize and I don't want to redo it, but it recognized with ultimate precision. So she thought that she survived by not being fully accepted, by not being kept by someone. And if you think about it, the basis of secure attachment is to have a caregiver who is stable, who is there, who is consistent, and who keeps you, doesn't throw you out, or your mother doesn't go in a psych ward. So anytime that you have an unstable attachment, especially her mother probably didn't have enough secure and stable attachments when she was pregnant with Marilyn, this led her to perform. Why? Because she knew that the moment that she starts performing, her caregiver doesn't interrupt her attention and gives it to something else, but starts looking back more time at her. So this is why as many performance, if you're an artist, if you are a performer, just think about it when you need the performance of that big crowd. That is sometimes present, sometimes it isn't. Sometimes people are warm, sometimes they aren't. So this is that disorganized attachment that if a child doesn't get consistent attention when they need it. Not sometimes absent, not sometimes there, sometimes yes, sometimes no. Consistent attention. If they don't get that consistent attention, the child cannot predict next time when it is in danger. Who can she count on? Where can she go? And the nervous system will develop a strategy for survival that at least sometimes works to perform at maximum, meaning being a perfectionist, being a great artist, attracting a lot of attention. Because as long as attention is on me, as long as we have that, people will want me more. I can prolong the time that they spend with me and not someone else. And in Marilyn's case, this is escalated to a global scale, of course, because she projected her need to perform to being wanted, meaning that she wanted actually to be loved. She projected this onto the whole world. She thought if everybody wants her, then she will feel loved. And just think about it. Now, today I am performing for you guys, and this is my new English channel, but no one asked me, okay, Antonia, but who are you? What did you do? Can I help you? Do you need help with something? No one is interested in a performer. When this is happening, people only want you to perform. People don't really care about you when you are performing because they want your next video, they want the next thing. People want something for themselves. And if this would be my only source of love that I give to myself, how much appreciation I get from other people or from you guys, that means that I would have a really unstable sense of self. And many people do have it because of disorganized attachment style. If me performing would be my only form of wanting belonging and love, just like Marilyn Monroe did, because this is what she did. She was performing so well, she was the perfect woman, so to say, so that everybody would want her and love her. But she drew the only consistent form of love from this type of attention because her nervous system thought that she would get safety and belonging if she does that performance. She confused being loved with being wanted. And think about it, our nervous system wants to keep us alive by all means, because first of all, we are mammalians, we need to be alive. So to our mammalian brain, belonging is one of the core needs of a human being. Even a caveman, if you come to think about it. We need to belong to a tribe. We need to have people around us for survival. So Marilyn's brain found a way how she can belong more permanently to a tribe than being thrown out, which was practically performance. And in her mind, she thought that the more obsessed someone is with her, the more they love her. And this is true for obsessions. People who are obsessed with other people, they believe that the more obsessed they are, the really big highs that they feel, the dopamine rush is love. That is not love. That is just a desire of your unconscious mind to recreate your situation in the uterus when you were in your mother's womb, because her mother really, really wanted to be loved. Her unconscious mind, being pregnant with a child, wanted really, really much to belong to the father, because a woman single in 1940s, now that's not a nice sight to the eyes. So Marilyn needed as well a suited nervous system of someone that would keep her and not throw her away like her father did. So it's very important to understand that even in today's world, if fathers or even mothers leave their child, they have nervous system patterns that are not okay. They go down to reptilian brain, mammalian brain, but they do not work from the conscious prefrontal cortex. And that is a really, really big problem, because not even a dog leaves her child. If a human leaves her child, his child, without thinking, without taking accountability for that child, it means that they have certain temporal lobe problems or different areas of the brain that are not working correctly. They do not know this. We didn't know this back then in the day in psychology, but we do know it today. They're called Brodmann fields, and it's very important for us to understand that yes, if someone doesn't care about their child, being a woman, being a man, it doesn't matter. It means that their normal human instincts are at the moment not functioning right in their nervous system. And just like Marilyn thought that she had to prioritize performance so that she will be wanted, because being wanted meant equal amount of love, her brain will prioritize the same type of man that her mother's brain prioritized. And this is how you give generational trauma to the next generation, because her mother prioritized men who were more powerful but emotionally unstable and didn't take her into accountability, didn't keep her for belonging, just wanted her really intensely. And you would be surprised, but people with anxious attachment style, they do not feel more secure the moment that they get someone. The moment that they get someone, so to say, or the moment that someone commits to them, the more attention they get, the more anxiety they will feel, because they feel losing what they already gained. Since the nervous system says, okay, I know this will soon interrupt in a certain moment because they never keep me, that's the unconscious part of the mind who knows that. Even if you don't know that consciously, your unconscious part of your brain knows that exactly. Your whole epigenetic pattern knows that. So the more relationship Marilyn Monroe entered, the more this pattern became consistent, because her brain chose men who were emotionally available and recreated in a perfect way the same circumstance her mother recreated with her father. Just look at the Kennedys. She was never acknowledged, she was never kept, and she was never put at the rightful place where she belonged, just like her mother was never put in her rightful place where she belonged, next to a man who actually was supposed to make a family with her. And even think of the rest of the men, Arthur Miller, Joe DiMaggio, all powerful men, but withholding to contain her fully. And our brain has the capacity to prioritize unconsciously the behavior of others. This is why we are capable of attracting back the same type of pattern that our father was or our mother was. If Marilyn's attachment was formed around inconsistency, her mother's whole circumstance was around total inconsistency at the time when she was pregnant with Marilyn. This emotionally unavailable, disappearing type of guy, has sex and leaves, ghosting type of guy will be the baseline for this is secure love. This will be the baseline for Marilyn that says this is secure love for me. That's what the brain says. So when a normal guy comes who is calm and cautious and normal and loving, she would feel bored. So even if these types of men came into Marilyn's life, she could have not accepted them directly because of her nervous system imprint. She could not receive love directly because her nervous system couldn't contain that kind of safety. So when she expressed more love with this type of disorganized attachment style, in a way she became even more anxious for holding it, not less, more anxious. And this is the problem with everybody who has these types of anxious or insecure attachment styles, because constant secure love doesn't match this nervous system model, to the model that she got in her mother's belly, the circumstances that her mother lived through. So her nervous system was calibrated to pursuit and uncertainty. So Marilyn projected it onto the whole world, the fact that her mother needed to perform to get love, so she needed to perform in front of Kennedy, literally, and in a different way. She needed to perform for love. So she believed that every camera that loved her was just like a foster parent. Every crowd that was adoring her and practically shaking for just having a little bit of her time was her way of unconsciously filling that void that she never had the mother that she really wanted. The amount of love that the crowd gave her was the amount of love that she desired from her mother. And every man that ever desired her was her unconscious proof that she deserved not being left. But ultimately, since these belief systems and patterns weren't worked through in her nervous system, she recreated the exact outcome as in her birth time, because she was left just in the same way as her mother Gladys was left by her father. So since she understood that these are the exact circumstances why I was born, could say Marilyn's unconscious programming, I will recreate the exact type of people, circumstances, situations, and I will perform for love. Of course, she will attract very potent men, with potent in every sense of the word, the rich man and all of this, because her mother attracted a man who was above her, hierarchically speaking. So when we have such a deep wound of not being chosen permanently, it is extremely important for you to start your inner work in your nervous system and in utero, meaning at the time of your conceptions, at the time of your birth, because most of our problems is done to us by our cell memory, and cell memory is inherited from your ancestors who have been through the same thing but in a worse way. I don't think I need to tell you that we all deserve to be chosen permanently. Like, I think I had most of my clients with this same thing, like, why doesn't he choose me? What's up with this guy that he doesn't choose me? We are all deserving of being chosen. That's not the problem. The problem is that we think that we need someone from the outside world needs to choose us before we choose ourselves consciously and unconsciously. We need to work on our unconscious patterns that block us being chosen. And believe me, the moment that you are so anxious or so disorganized or so avoidant, 10,000 million men or women could come to you who are securely attached. Your unconscious mind is the one who will not let them in. Your unconscious mind will be the one who thinks they're boring. They are not boring, they are safe. But since your nervous system grew up and grew and developed in a totally different condition, if your mother wasn't a securely attached woman, then you will have not just the nervous system problems, you will bring that imprint into every area of your life, your business, your partnerships, everything. When I work with clients, I can ask them their business, their partnerships, whatever you want, because every problem will bring you to your emotional imprint at birth. And all of this can be passed down and will be passed down epigenetically, not just to your child. If you don't have child, it will be passed down to your nephew and nieces. Marilyn Monroe said it herself in an interview that I knew that I belonged to the world and to the public. And in a way, this is where she found that belonging that her nervous system wanted, the mammalian nervous system. Remember, I told you that the human, even the caveman, the first thing that he desires is being in a state of belonging, in a tribe, to have that tribal feeling of belonging. So she felt like she belonged to the world and to the people, and quote, not because I was talented or even beautiful, but because I have never belonged to anyone or anything else. And how true is this? A child who never got belonging when she should have gotten in childhood. In her mother, when she was pregnant, she should have been acknowledged by that father. If he was in his right mind, meaning if all of his nervous system patterns would have been not just functioning on a very low baseline, but actually with a higher mind, he would have acknowledged her. He wouldn't have chosen shame and guilt not to face what he had done many, many years before, when Marilyn was conceived. So this was Marilyn's only substitute for the love that she never received, the love from the public, the love from the people. The only permanent love she never gave was the one who she should have given to herself, because she could never acknowledge tying up her conscious and her unconscious parts of her mind, integrating herself, understanding that she was enough the way she was, just like you are. Because ultimately we get these types of very ugly life lessons where our father leaves us, or he's an alcoholic, or our mother gets institutionalized. We get these life lessons until the moment that we realize that we were enough from the moment that we were born. And that takes time and effort to heal. That takes time to take your shame and guilt, and you have to get under it to see what's under it. But we are the ones who will have to realize everything that we have been putting under our egos, because we didn't want to see everything that we are inheriting transgenerationally, generationally, and what is that we can unpack from our big trauma box. Sure, we can choose very good experts. For example, even I work on 3 layers at once. I work on identity, because you cannot have an identity of shame and guilt and want to feel good in your life. You won't. And I work on the layer of the soul, and I also work on the nervous system layer, and I do the 3 at once with one exercise. We have to recognize our own worth inside of ourselves, because everything in which you were born into is just, it's just your conditioning. The moment that you can release all the shame, all the guilt that your conditioning brought to you, and all the pain that you project onto the universe, onto God, onto whoever, because of what happened to you, when all the trauma is released, you get to experience what your soul is, how your soul looks, and what is your real mission, how you can give back to people. And you will find God inside of you, I can promise you that. So some stories are not necessarily about fame, but about nervous system healing, or a nervous system like Marilyn's, who spent her whole life searching for a conclusion that the original conception trauma was wrong. And you will never find it when you look it in the outside world. You will only find that conclusion that it was wrong when you look inside of yourself and you heal your own nervous system, because the outside world will only mirror to you your inner state of unconsciousness in the utero. So if you ever felt better being desired than being loved permanently, or you keep changing partners because of this, or maybe you never managed to attract real love into your life, if consistent kindness feels suspicious to you, or if you are performing to get love just like Marilyn. And yes, you can be an exact performer. I love to work with performers because I always know that's just the artist part, and there is something very deep underneath that they never dare to show to anyone, because performers think the most that when we perform, that's the only time we will get loved, and that's so not true. And performers are usually those types of very, very vulnerable type of people who want the love the most. I always used to say that the bigger your crowd, the more the love you need, unless you integrated this part of you. So if you really need this type of attention to get to you, if you need the attention of big crowds and you still feel empty on the inside, you can look me up, book a consultations, or I'm having workshops right now in Vienna. They are pretty amazing and the people are amazing. If you only want to keep the attention of someone, or you don't manage to keep the attention of someone, you need to realize the attention of someone you really need to keep is your own attention. But you cannot just do this with mantras and simple visualizations, because it's the back of your mind, it's our biological brain that you need to combine with your prefrontal cortex. It's not that easy sometimes, especially if you don't see all your childhood trauma, when and how it came from. So I specialize in this nervous system healing, 3 layers at the same time. Go to my website, you can find my webpage, and I can heal you from anything that you want, meaning you can heal yourself from anything that you want. I can only help you see where you have been stuck with your healing and why your healing hasn't worked a lot more faster than needed to. People usually say, oh my god, I'm not going so fast with my psychologist. Be careful what you wish for. I'm the exact opposite. With me you have very fast results, but you need to acknowledge the moment that you get on that train, you will have to take the consequences of your results. So the term be careful what you wish for, it's very true if you want to work with me. If not, you can watch my other videos and like and subscribe to my new YouTube channel in English. I am a Hungarian YouTuber, been since, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago. But please support my English channel, because I want to help to make the world a better place. And yeah, let's hope that you can have a better life than Marilyn Monroe did. Have a great week. Bye bye.